So today we're talking about the new water treatment plants and all the new equipment. Could you for anyone that doesn't know how water treatment works, could you explain the the main process, just in general?
Yes, perfect. So we start by taking the water from the river, so Ottawa River in this case, and there's a screening right at the source, and then we bring it in the plant, and we do a clarification, or maybe more familiar with the sedimentation. So basically, we're trying to separate the solid versus the liquid. And then there's a process of what they call flocculation. So basically assisted chemical to help for this sedimentation. Then we go through filters. So we filters, usually filters are composed of sand and anthracite. Anthracite is it's a carbon derivative. And then after it's filtered, we do disinfection. So we use in this case chlorine, and then we disinfect and we store it. And after we could add fluoride in the water for purpose of fluoridation, or even in this case we also use a corrosion inhibitor. So basically what does mean is we have iron piping in Hawkesbury. So to help control the corrosion from inside, we do put another chemical.
Okay, I see. So how long would that usually take? Let's say like an X amount of water, how long would that take to process completely?
So I didn't go into the reservoir. So we have a reservoir. Basically, when you do disinfection, you need to have contact with the chlorine. So the reservoir, they're also there as a reservoir, but also for disinfection purposes to keep what they call CT, which is contact time with the chlorine. So that gives us also a reservoir, like I said. And also we have a standpipe in Hawkesbury to control the pressure, but also again for reservoir for the fire capacity. Roughly, when we produce water, it's pretty fast. It comes in and then we can process. Depending on the demand, it goes right back to the distribution or the standpipe. But roughly, I would say we have 1 day of reserve water in Hawkesbury.
Okay, I see. So how much would you say in terms of volume can the water treatment plant put out per day?
Per day, every water treatment plant gets a permit, so they are allowed to produce so much water. In our case, it's 27,000 cubic meter.
Mhm.
We can't reach that right now, but and that's probably why we're doing a little bit of upgrade. But I would say right now we could produce about 18,000 cubic meter under the regs and everything.
Okay, I see. And so, kind of take us through why we need to get new equipment. How is that affecting efficiency? How it's affecting the quality of the water?
Yes, so the original plan is 1954. So as I was explaining earlier, we have a different process. In this particular process, the clarification process, it's the original reservoir or clarification tank, and it's 1954, so over 60 years. The technology changes, but also back then the regulation, let's say for parameter like turbidity, was higher than today, so we can't have the same capacity with the reservoir. And I guess the main reason is the life expectancy of these reservoir are pretty much over.
I see. Okay. Could you explain what the new upgrades to the clarifiers, what they're supposed to do, or if it's entirely new equipment?
Perfect. So again, we go in the clarification process because this particular project is going to be focused on the little areas, but the main one is the clarification. In the waterworks business, I should say, usually we have redundancy. So we have two clarifiers. In this case, we do have two clarifiers. The other one is about 1997, so it's a different technology. So we can talk about that after, but in this case, it's more like this technology is well known for this kind of area. The water of the Ottawa River has color, which is a parameter that we're looking at, and the technology we're going to put in, which is a high rate clarifier. So basically going fast, and we can produce fast water, good water. And it made us prove all over the world, but especially in the Ottawa River. I think Rockland has one. I think Gatineau, Lefebvre, all in this area. So this technology has proved them very efficient for this kind of source water.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. So kind of take us why the quality, what the quality of the water is currently and why it needs to be changed.
Perfect. So I would like to reassure everybody. So the water quality is good. So we're looking more for the future. So the future, what I'm trying to say here is the demand. So first of all, the demand. So we want to be able to produce more water and for the economic development, but also we know that the government also increase all the time the parameter. So I was talking earlier about this particular unit that we're going to take offline was set or designed for so many cubic meters back then with these parameters, but now with the new parameters, it couldn't produce the same water. So basically, the quality is still good. It's just if we had a high demand, we can't follow all the new parameters with this one. So we're just going to look for the future more.
Okay. Oh, that makes total sense. Kind of backtracking, when you were talking about redundancy and how you have two clarifiers currently, is that like a backup plan? Is that going to play into how you're still going to be able to provide water to Hawkesbury during the renovation process?
Yes, that's exactly the purpose of redundancy is when you want to put one system offline for maintenance purposes or repair, you always have a backup. Like I said, the new clarifier 1997 is going to be helpful in this case when we start working on the other one. There's still some development on the sequencing. So how are we going to really process and the sequence of how we're going to do it. There's other option also. You could have a mobile clarifier set up in a truck beside if you needed help. But at this point, I think we're relying on the second clarifier for a short period of time. For sure, timing is the key here.
It's good to know. It's good to know that we won't have to boil water while this whole process is going on.
No, exactly. No. So that's not the point. We don't want to go there. We can talk about the demand a bit of the water. So that's another topic. So not only we're producing water for Hawkesbury, we also produce for Vankleekil and L'Orignal. So it's going to be enough for everybody. So nobody has to worry about missing water or boiling water. We're going to keep the same quality and all the parameters that we need to do.
Perfect. Can you tell us where we are currently where our progress is currently in the project? Have we started? Is construction started? Are we just in the design phase?
Yes. So this is part of a large strategic 20-year plan. So we started in 2018. So just when I started, basically as a superintendent, and we're looking into like I said, a bigger picture, like a 20-year. We're already right now working on one project for chemical upgrade, but this particular project that we're talking about, these clarifiers, we're in the design phase till end of the summer. And by the end of the year, early 2022, we should be going into tender process for choosing our constructor.
Okay. How long do you think the construction process will take?
We're still in, like I said, in the design phase, but we're confident, me and the engineer, mostly the engineer than me, but we're pretty confident about 24 months. So it would bring us somewhere 2024, end of 2024 with this, because in this project, we do have other things we want to address in the same time. So it's not just the clarifiers, it's going to be a little bit of more. And we can talk into details about why how the funding and all this and why this amount is so big.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the budgets and all the government funding that's been happening.
Perfect. So we did get a grant. So it's infrastructure. Let me rephrase this here. Infrastructure. Sorry about that.
No worries.
We use a lot of acronym in English, and so it's ICIP. So Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program through the Green Infrastructure Stream. So basically, we're getting $1 million from 1.1 from the $1 million from the federal, and about 900,000 from the provincial. For this particular funding, they only assess the clarifier, like I was telling you before. It's a bigger project that we have right now. So if we look at the clarifier, it's about $2.6 million. So the rest of the town's going to bid, but we're addressing a lot of other things, like perhaps a renewal of a filter, etc. So the total project for that 2 years is going to be around $6.1 million.
I see. So we already have a lot of government grants. Is the rest of the money coming from taxpayer money, or is it coming from private investors?
Okay, so the funding, like we talked about the grant, yes, the town has reserves. So we have reserve every year. We put some money aside for these big projects. Also, we have an agreement with Champlain also, so they help because we're giving them water, so they participate also. And for sure, we might have to have a loan for the city to finance all this big project.
Okay, I see. Some people might be wondering what happens to the old equipment, the old clarifiers, all the waste that might come from it. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Yes.
So we just talked about the technology. So this technology that we're talking specifically, which in the water world, it's called ActiFlow. So it's a ballast flocculation clarifier. The particulate, it's a high rate, so it takes a lot of water. It can produce a lot, and the footprint is smaller. So we're going to go where the old one was. So we're going to try to salvage the wall and there's the reservoir and try to retrofit right in there with 2 new units. So we're going to have, after this project, we're going to have 3 clarifiers. We used to have 2, so it's going to give a lot of flexibility for the town. And these units are very small footprint. So that's one of the particular of these clarifiers. Sorry.
So what you're saying with the 3 new clarifiers, they'll be able to output more water, but still have less of an environmental impact than the 2 old ones, basically.
That's right. And also the question was the equipment. I guess the old equipment, it's finished. Like I'm talking about inside the reservoir, but we would try to retrofit all the cement, the structure, and all this around this project.
I see. Okay. Let's see. Do you hope that installing these new clarifiers, it's a big job. So do you think we'll need to hire more people during COVID, or do you think we'll be fine with the amount of workforce that we have right now?
For the workforce right now, and that's another beauty of all these systems, there are a lot of automatization and So for the plant, I don't see really an increase of jobs, but for sure, we're thinking for the future, for the development. A city goes without a plant cannot go so far with economic development. So we're expecting, we have an industry sector in Hawkesbury. We have also the hospital who had a big expansion. So they have a demand. We know that Champlain, Van Cleeken, and they have a demand. So we're trying to look into future. For sure, the department is going to get bigger. Do we need more people inside the water treatment? Probably not. Probably more on the network and all the network, the water distribution network.
Okay, I see. So Canada as a whole is continually growing. The population is growing. You can see that in most small towns, bigger towns. So do you think that with the new clarifiers being able to output more water, do you think that Hawkesbury needs more water because since the population is growing, or do you think now that more water could be outputted, then we can have more growth in the city?
I think it puts the city in a good position for development. So when you have the possibility of giving water, we have right now industry that are coming into our industrial park, and we could see it's moving. Also, there's a demand for residential. We could see that people are maybe with the COVID, they seem to go more towards these little rural community. But yes, we're going to be ready, and we expect to have an increase for the demand for the water.
Perfect. So I know that the construction company ASCO, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, they did some work during 2011 to 2014. So are the new renovations that are taking place right now, are they a result of, is that a result of it not being in the budgets initially during that time, that 3-year period?
Yes, so we're lucky in Hawkesbury. We have lots of big project. I was talking earlier about the hospital, so that's a big project, $160 million. The one that you're referring is mostly for the wastewater. So we had the town has the biggest project ever for the town for $36 million. So what you're referring is mostly ASCO was the project manager for wastewater treatment. So you're touching a good point. Our department is taking care of the wastewater treatment, also the water treatment, but also the distribution network for potable water. So that's our service for Hawkesbury.
Perfect. So you talked about a 20-year plan. What other things can we expect to see during this time of renovations and upgrades?
Yes, so there's the raw station where we pump the water from the river. So there's a little bit of work to get done over there, and also which we call also the eye-lift pumps, which these pumps are pushing the water into the network. So there's a bit of work there too. There's also, I was mentioning earlier, the reservoir. We have underground reservoir. One is relatively new, sorry about that. And the second one is relatively old and about the same year as the old clarifiers. So again, 1954, 55, their reservoir. So that should be addressed also through that 20-year strategic plan. There's also the standpipe, and there's ongoing network renovation or retrofit or rehabilitation or new street.
Perfect. So who decided to actually add the upgrades? Was there a big outcry from the populace, or was this like a city government decision?
We knew that the life expectancy of some of the parts in the water treatment plant. We focused in 2010 to 2016 on the wastewater side. So then we approached in 2018, we did hire a consultant to help us to figure a 20-year plan so we could phase in all these big amounts of money that we're investing in for the water, for the potable water.
Okay, I see. Perfect. Just tell me a bit, what's your favorite part of serving Hawkesbury in this regards?
I'm going to take advantage of your question here and I'm happy to work for Hawkesbury because they do find money and they do find and so the teamwork from the elected people to the operational team, we have a good team and it's going really well. Everybody's proud of their work and that's great. We feel like we're giving the best we can and the best potable water in the region.
It's good. Yeah, perfect. Could you tell me why people should care about this new upgrade? Just like the random person off the street in Hawkesbury, why this should matter to them?
We're investing into the infrastructure and we're up to date basically and we're following the trends and like I said, we're ready for future development and it's very optimistic for our region, yes. So and also for surrounding communities.
Mm-hmm. I see. So I know I keep backtracking back to this, but there's only one water treatment plant in Hawkesbury, right?
There's one and there's one water treatment plant and again we're giving water to Vankleek. There's about 3,500 connection in Vankleek, about 3,500 connection in L'Orignal, and the population of Hawkesbury is about 10,000. So really we're looking at something like 20,000 people we're providing water.
And I'm guessing that there's really no need to build a second one in the future unless if the population just skyrockets.
No, because we didn't talk about the capacity, but we figured that with those two new clarifiers, we could probably double the amount of water that we used to back then. So like again, we didn't talk about all the economy of water, so conservation. When I started 13 years ago, we were, just to give you numbers here, we were producing about 10,000 cubic meters a day. And with all the meters and the conservation water and making sure we're not, and making sure we don't have too much leaks on the network, we producing right now half of that. So that really helped just for conservation water. So no, I think there's no need for a second plan, and because of those clarifiers so efficient, we could double the production. So we're ready, like I said, for the future.
This was very informational, and I'm sure that whoever is tuning in will be able to learn a little bit more about where their water comes from and why it matters to them. So thank you.